thank you all for tuning back in. So this is gonna be a video on how I found out I was pregnant. And yeah, so let's get right into the video. If you like this video, make sure you click the like button, make sure you subscribe, and come down this journey with us. So I know it's a little last minute and I'm waiting till the last trimester to go over everything, but I do have notes in my phone so that I will be able to remember for the most part. So yeah, just stay tuned, keep watching. Cross my legs real quick for this little story time. Let me do my official water before I start. Okay, now I'm ready. Like I said before, I am in Zuri's nursery. This is probably the only part of the nursery that I'll ever be on the videos, but whatever. So let's start. So I found out, let me open my calendars because I have all my calendars. Okay, so okay, to go all the way back. Seems like it's been forever. Okay, so I don't know how many of you all use apps to keep track of your period or whatever. I do, but honestly I am like super regular, so I already know what, like, it's like clockwork. When I say like clockwork, so I was prepared, but I'm not even gonna start there. I'm gonna start the week before. So the week before I found out, it was just a regular week. My mother-in-law was down visiting and she was here for a week actually, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary to me or to anybody else. Like, you know, relatives around me all the time. Nothing. I don't know if y'all can see her moving, but my girl is she gets excited when the camera's on her. So nothing seemed out of the ordinary. I was sleeping like I normally do. I was eating like I normally do. That whole week I didn't notice anything different until I'm looking back. Like, then I was like, oh, there were a couple of things different. So one day, it had to be, let me look on my calendar. It was the Saturday before my mother-in-law was actually leaving, and I never take naps. And when I tell you never, I never take naps. And well, okay, that's incorrect, honestly. That was a lie. I always take naps, but I never take naps on the couch. If I'm gonna take a nap, I will go into our bed and actually like get in the bed and go to sleep. So this day, oh, excuse me. When you drink a little bit of water, your hair kind of gets out of place. Okay, so this day, the Saturday before my mother-in-law was leaving, I had taken a nap on the couch, which was, I mean, I didn't even pay it any attention. I was like, okay, I'm sleeping. But I took a real nap. Like, it was like I was asleep. And that's unusual for me. Because like I said, I have to be in a bed to actually go to sleep. Unless I'm at my parents' house and they have a little couch in their room and I can sleep on that. But other than that, I have to be in a bed. So that was one thing that was out of the ordinary for me. And that was probably one of the first signs, but I didn't notice it. And then an increase in appetite. I definitely had an increase in my appetite, like a big increase. Hold on one second. Let me, one second. Okay, so that was one of the first signs, was when I had taken the nap. So that was a Saturday, and then so my mother-in-law ended up leaving on that Sunday, and the following week I was going down to Louisiana for my nephew's birthday. Nothing felt out of the ordinary. Like I said, I still felt fine. Like, everything seemed pretty typical. I wasn't sleepy more than anything because I was sleeping at 7 or 8 anyway, so that was nothing unusual. So that was pretty typical of me. And I flew out on the 15th to Louisiana. So I had a night flight. I got trying to drop me off at the hotel, and I had a little bit of cramping, but I usually get cramping when my period's supposed to start. My period was due to start on the 16th. So I had a little bit of cramping. So I was like, oh, well, let me just take 2 Midols before I get on the plane. So I don't have to worry about, you know, anything. I'll have a good flight. Then when I get to my parents' house, I can just lay down and then just rest. Because the cramps aren't that bad, but they, you know. So then I was like, hold on. It's like, usually I would have started my period today, but I didn't. Oh, I was like, whatever. No, hold on. I'm getting this wrong. Okay, so my mother-in-law ended up leaving that Sunday. So the rest of the week, I was good. I was getting ready to head down to Louisiana. Everything was cool. I didn't notice any changes. My period was due on the 14th. And I was like, okay, like, it's like clockwork. But I was like, also, I know that, you know, it can sometimes be a day or a night late. So on the 15th, I was flying out to go, like I said, to go to Louisiana. And I had started noticing some cramping. So I was like, okay, well, let me just go ahead and, you know, take this Midol while I'm on the plane, so I have a pretty good flight. Then when I get home, I was like, I'll just be able to lay down and relax. So then the 15th, nothing happened. I had cramps, like I said. The 16th, that morning had came, and I was like, hold on, like, I know my body. This isn't cool. I'm never a day and a half late. And I know you're probably like, okay, girl, you're crazy. But no, like, when I tell y'all, I'm like clockwork. So I was just like, I know I'm never a day and a half late. So me and my little sister, we had went to Walmart. But we had went to Walmart that morning to get some last minute things for my nephew's birthday. Now my nephew, he was turning 1, so he had fallen asleep in the car. So my little sister was like, okay, can you just run in and get this stuff? So I was like, oh, cool, you know, I'm going to get it. And something told me, I was like, I'm by myself, so let me just go over to the pregnancy test and let me just pick one up real quick. So I went over there and I double wrapped the pregnancy test in a Walmart bag. I don't know why I was trying to be so secretive, but I double wrapped the pregnancy test in a Walmart bag, and I had ended up just getting in the car, giving her the stuff that we had got. And then so when I got home, I had still need to take a shower before all the company kids got there for his birthday party. She was already cleaned up and everything. So I get home and I take the test, but it was so much going on. I'd already started my bath water. So I started my bath water, I took the test, I turned the bath water off, and I left the bathroom and I put the test under her robe. So I had never came back to check the test or whatever, maybe like 20 minutes later. And so then I look at it and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm like, that's pregnant. And so that was I was just like, okay. And I was very happy. Like, don't get me wrong, I was extremely happy because, like, we wanted kids anyways. So I was very happy. But I think I had gotten so busy and I didn't really expect it because I had always read, like, it's gonna be this sign, this sign, this sign. I had no signs. Yeah, like, I had no signs of it. And yeah, it was just weird because I was like, So after that, I told my little sister, I was like, hey, like, she was talking to my mom. I was like, hey, I need you to come here real quick. Like, this is an emergency. And she was like, oh, well, let me finish feeding him. I was like, no, like, I need you to come here now. And so my mom was just looking. She was like, what? So my little sister was like, what? So then all I did was I just held it up. And she was like, oh, my goodness. She's like, go to the doctor, like, go get the official results. And I was like, no, it's his birthday party. So, like, the whole birthday party, like, I'm just, like, super anxious because I haven't told Travante yet. And then throughout the party, it was, like, a lot of our family there. So one of my little cousins, she walked up to me and she was like, next time I see you, you're gonna have your baby with you. And I was just like, that's so weird that she would say that. And then my best friend Bianca was there. And she was like, next time, like, this is gonna be your go around and stuff like this. So everybody was making little comments, and I have this little secret to myself, and I'm like, little do y'all know, your girl actually will. So then after that, like later on that night, after the party had ended or whatever, still nothing changed, but I had went to the emergency room just because I wanted the official test, because my little sister was like, no, like, just go get the official thing. So I told my parents, I was like, yeah, I'm about to go to my friend Bianca's house, just hang out with her before I get ready to leave. And they were like, oh, okay. So then I go to the emergency room, and as soon as like I give them, like, I just made up symptoms actually. I was like, yeah, I'm cramping and I have bad headache, I keep going to the bathroom. So the nurse looks at me, she was like, okay. She was like, here, take this pee test or whatever. So I was like, okay. I mean, I already knew. So then 20 minutes later, they walk in the room, and the nurse is like, I have good or bad news for you. And I was like, what? And she's like, you're pregnant. And I was like, oh. And she's like, yeah, so is that good or bad for you? I was like, oh no, that's good. So after that, I get the results on an official piece of paper, and I go home. I'm acting like super normal. Only me and my little sister know. Trente doesn't know yet. So then the next day I fly out. And one part of the story that I did forget to mention is I eat eggs every morning for breakfast. But this one day my mom was eating an egg, and it really bothered me. I was like, what is that smell? She was like, oh, I'm eating eggs. We're driving down the highway. She was like, oh, I'm eating eggs. And I was like, okay, well, they really stink. So then she throws them out the window, because I mean, like, they really stank to me, like really bad. I have some sweet tarts here. They're like my go-to. So okay, so I'm gonna keep this one in my jaw. So then, where was I at? Oh, so then that night, only me and my sister knew. So we're just like trying to play it cool. Next day I fly out to go back home. So I had to go to Walmart to get my dad a Father's Day gift, because it was Father's Day that Sunday. And so I was like, well, since I'm already here, I was like, I don't know how I want to tell Trente, but I knew I wanted to tell him in like a cutesy little way. And so I had ended up finding this this soon-to-be Father's Day card, and I'll actually enter a picture of it right here. And so I picked this card up, and then after that, I gave my dad his Father's Day card. I filled out the card for Trente, and then I put the pregnancy test in the card. So later on that day, it was time for, like, I had to get ready to head back. Woo. Sorry, y'all. I got hungry. So later on that day, I had to head back to California. I think my flight left at like 4 Louisiana time, which was 2 California time, but I didn't make it home until like 7 that night. So I got on the flight, you know, I'm like anxious, like excited, like ready to see how he's gonna respond. I have this little secret I'm so ready to tell. So Trente's never on time. Anybody who knows Trente will know he's never on time. I'm giving Trente's not even, like, I don't even know how Trente was on time to his own birth, because when I tell you this man is never on time, he's never on time. So I'm on the plane, and he knew what time I was landing because I sent him my boarding pass. So I like turn my phone on right when we hit the runway, and I'm like, hey, like, where you at? I'm like on the runway, I'll be out in a minute. He's like, oh, I'm 15 minutes away. So I hate when people aren't on time. So that's what we clash about a lot. So then I'm mad at this point. Like, I am triggered. I'm like, you're 15 minutes away. What do you mean? Da, 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 da. I'm ready to get home. Like, you've been at home all day. Like, why aren't you here? And so it's just already bad, like, energy. And so I go get my bags, and I'm waiting on him. And then he pulls up. And so I'm already, like, not in the mood. I'm not ready to talk to him. But then I remember I have to tell him this great news, but I'm not in the mood. So I'm like in the car, and we're like arguing, where I'm just like, why are you never on time, da, 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 da. But you know, I was like, this is kind of the perfect, like, you know, intro to what's gonna happen. So then as soon as I get home, he had started dinner before is why he was late. He had started dinner before before he had came to pick me up. So he was finishing dinner and I was like, let me just go take a shower to clean off because I've been on the plane all day. And so I went to go do that, and like my mind is just racing, like, okay, how am I gonna present this? Like, am I just gonna be like, here's a card or whatever? I didn't know what I was gonna do. So then I got this bright idea. Travantes' birthday was in March, so I was like, ooh, this is perfect. So I got this idea to be like, hey, like my mom wanted me to give you this birthday card. So then that's exactly what I did. I went in the kitchen, like I lost attitude. I was like, hey, this is from my mom. She wants me to record your reaction. And then he was just like, okay. So he's opening the card and like, he's like looking at the card and he was like, oh, cute peanut butter and jelly, because that's what was on the front of the card. And he doesn't know what he's opening. And then he's like, he just stands there and then he's like, are you pregnant? So he's like whispering it, which was still confusing to me because I was like, why are you whispering? It's just me and you in the house. So he like whispers it or whatever, and then I'm like, yay. And then so he gives me a hug and like we just sit there and we kind of just like take everything in. And then he made steak that night, so he's like, oh, let me make sure it's well done. So that's basically how I found out. No symptoms before. So I mean, not everybody doesn't react the same way. No symptoms before, no symptoms after that. So the next day I go to work and I go take my official pregnancy test at work so that I can be on a profile, because you know if you're in the military you have to get on a profile when you're pregnant. So I went and got all that taken care of the next day because I wanted my prenatal vitamins. Like I wanted to go ahead and start getting everything in order and everything in line. And so that's exactly what I did, and that's how I found out. Like it wasn't anything extreme. It wasn't like because of throwing up. It was simply because I know my period and I know my body, and that was it. Like I said, no symptoms, no nothing. Looking back, the only 2 symptoms that I did have was I took a nap on the couch and the smell of an egg. That's just how it happened, and we're so happy. We have 3 weeks left and she will be here. So yeah, so that's how I found out I was pregnant, and now Zuri is making her appearance soon. But make sure y'all stay tuned to the next video, because the next video is going to be how I made it through my first, second, and currently 3rd trimester. So like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you stay tuned. On Wednesday we will have up how I made it through my first semester, my first trimester.